Hey everybody,
Jam.
I got the record turned on. I did not forget to push the record button.
Well, there we go.
I've been bragging to Hawthorne for the last week or so about how I was going to blow you guys away with the professionalism of our community calls. And I run the recording software on a burner laptop in my closet. And I have to run back and forth between the two places to make sure that the recording is going and I don't run out of hard drive space, because it's like a $150 burner laptop from Best Buy. So it's a very professional organization we have here for our bi-weekly calls. This is
If you don't love that, you don't love crypto.
That is awesome.
Like when Vitalik went to Best Buy and bought the $150 ones so he could go claim those tokens that he had, like his mom had half the seed phrase of. It just made me laugh thinking about him going to Best Buy just buying some $150 laptop to claim like 50 million bucks worth of tokens. Anyway, this is
He's just like me, for real.
Same. This is our fifth call. Welcome to the Llama Graze, the Friday Graze number 5. We're doing like an early morning West Coast, lunchtime for you guys, for the Polygon guys, and Euro peak time. We're trying to time this call with Panda's normal time that he starts drinking, so we would have it like actually have the happy hour vibe. But being able to get him to talk is kind of like, blood from the stone. Also in the middle of his like put down time for the kids, and we've got Jack and Trot Nixon. What do I call you? What's your?
You can just call me David.
David. Okay, hold on. Let me write that down.
There we go. Yeah.
There's no David in your name, so there's no way I'm not going to mess that up.
0% chance. Let me try to change that.
Hey guys, good morning.
Morning, guys. Thank you for coming on. And thank you for being the largest badge deployer of all time, apparently. And for we were going through the list with like a couple days ago, and I think that you guys were sharing like what you guys had for total badges, and there's like 11, right, Hoth?
Yeah, I believe so. I think if you count polybots, it's 11. It's been awesome. Like working with you guys. I feel like we've made all kinds of cool projects across the whole spectrum. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely get into it in the call. Obviously, me and Jack here at Polygon's a relatively big org, and across the org, it is the legend of the llamas, the team that when there's something that we need that needs to get done, or the community wants to see built. It's been great working with you guys. So it's the magic superhero team that's able to get things built, and it's a credit to the community you guys have built. And we've had a lot of fun building some awesome things, and a lot of stuff still to come in the pipe. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, that brings up. Like I've always been curious, and I haven't asked you guys. Are you deploying badges as kind of like a pressure valve if like your core teams too slam, or are you is there like an architecture that's like only being built by the llamas?
Yeah.
Like, are we like the cool.
There's a few different things that we've worked with the llamas on. Right, so we can introduce yourself. David, I do a product here at Polygon. I know, Jack, if you want to do your quick little intro.
Yes, I'm Jack. I lead DeFi at Polygon.
And we build L2s, public ones, POS, CKVM, and a bunch of private ones for enterprise. And we're a big firm. We got about 350 people, and we're working on a variety of things. And I think different groups have begun to interact and see value in the llamas in different ways. The biggest one I think that we started off with was there's a lot of teams that want to deploy onto Polygon that themselves may not have the bandwidth to sit and write specific code, they're kind of focused elsewhere. And we see that's stuff that we really kind of want to be community led. And so we either bring them here to the llamas or we kind of create that badge on their behalf. There's some interesting experiments that we've done. So we've done some proof of concepts with enterprises that the llamas themselves have actually built. And then there's just generic kind of ideas we have out there. These are ideas that we think would improve, the crypto world at large, or at least the Polygon public nets. Probably tangential from what our engineers tend to work on day to day, and things we want to see the community build. And so we offer up to the llamas to take a crack at. And every single time so far, I think we've been beyond pleased and pleasantly surprised.
100%.
It's so great. Like I am always blown away of the just at the anons who kind of came into our community in the auction. Like we have some really big chads.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, David definitely works a lot more closely directly interfacing with the teams than I've gotten to so far, but every single experience I've had from day one chatting with Panda and Hoth about their vision for what they're building and how it works in practice to kind of working with them from launch, working with the Anon devs, getting devs paid, and developing the relationship between the llamas and Polygon has been absolutely fantastic so far. And I know in my seat, and I know I speak for David here, I can say with absolute confidence that in our eyes, like this is just, I know we're at 10 or 11 badges already, depending how you count it. Like this is just kind of the tip of the iceberg for what we really see as being possible together. So it's definitely exciting, and we're very ready to see what we can build together next.
Yeah, and I mean it's just kept improving. Like I'm really grateful about how patient you guys are, because we're kind of creating our process around what our initial partners need. So it's been really I've just been really glad you guys have been able working with us on this, because it is in prod to the max sometimes.
No, of course. And I think also, we do a lot of other engagement and bounties through different development platforms. And I think part of why the llamas speak to us, both me and Jack, especially, is we both were at one point anons. I personally think that anons are a critical part, of crypto and of Web3. It's a critical value that we have, that we, respect the ability to judge someone by, purely the work they produce. We don't need to share more than we know. And the reality of the danger and the risk of building this type of tech. And so to support those types of builders in the space is, of paramount to both, us two personally and Polygon as an organization at large.
Yeah, that's absolutely a killer. That's Panda is really eloquent at kind of talking about that, and it's awesome that you guys are are really within the ethos on that, because you are preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
I think at least for my notes, we're doing this backwards, so apologies, Cogsy. We wanted to talk to you guys about your upgrade and kind of this new chapter for Polygon. It's really exciting.
Yeah, I had some basic new questions, if that's cool.
Yeah.
Because going and delving into it's such a huge ecosystem. Like you guys are, a gigantic organization, as you said, and trying to go kind of wrap my head around what you guys, where you are, in your roadmap and of your development right now. So my question was, I want to talk about PIP 17, 18, and 19, but which is the one I had up on the screen, was the big network upgrade. But is the ZK the ZK section that you guys were doing a bunch, several of the badges for, is that a breakaway roll up that is going to be connecting to ETH, as a ZK roll up,
So it's
separated from Polygon's mainnet?
So
that's actually a network that's live today. That's Polygon ZK EVM. It rolls up to ETH in the same way that POS also settles to ETH. And it's similar to how other chains do operate. Multiple rollups themselves, like Arbitrum has both Nitro and One. Optimism in their world has like they have Base, they have Zora, they have OP mainnet, and those all independently settle to ETH. Right, there's no kind of implicit connection between the two. And I think that's actually the big thing that we're working on with Polygon 2.0. Our key vision is that every chain that we work on, or that our community and ecosystem builds, whether it's POS, whether it's ZK EVM, whether it's Maiden, which is a non-VM ZK rollup we have coming, settling to ETH, or even enterprise chains built with Polygon CDK, our chain development kit. These are all L2s that will settle to ETH. And the big thing, the big kind of novel point that we've been working towards is this thing we're calling the interop. There'll probably be a formal marketing name at some point, but it makes two blockchains appear as a unified block space. And so I can transact between POS and ZK EVM, or ZK EVM and IDEX, or immutable and POS, and it will look and feel like an atomic transaction that you won't actually know these are two different chains. And we're using ZK tech to power them.
How cool! That's gonna be amazing just for the experience of just getting to be on chain. That's a huge upgrade for the UX, I think.
The backward compatibility of there's several mentions of that in PIP 18. Is the old Polygon, like the old Matic chain that we knew back 3-4 years ago, right? Like, is that deprecated as like the old ETH1 before like the old proof of stake, or
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, in the roll up world, right? We always there's that famous blog post by John Chabro, which says like roll ups aren't real; they're just applications, smart contracts that live on Ethereum, and POS is that way. The series of upgrades we're doing to POS are going to convert it from the system it currently is, a plasma proof of stake network, into a ZK rollup, specifically a Validium, which is a type of ZK rollup. And the intention is we're going to do it in as backwards compatible of a manner as possible. That you as a user, if you're connected to any application on Polygon, whether using Aave for lending, Uniswap for swapping, Mai as your stablecoin, like, you're not going to actually notice that change happened. In the same way that, like, most people didn't notice that ETH switched to POS through the merge, right? These are kind of just only affecting some node runners and some developers. And so that's kind of what 17, 18, 19 spell out is. First, the launch of the upgrading Matic to this new token called POL, the Polygon Ecosystem Token, as well as just the technical roadmap of how are we going to upgrade the bridges, how are we going to eventually upgrade staking, and the exact ZK contracts are coming in a further series of PIPs down the line. PIPs are Polygon Improvement Proposals, being our version of EIPs. And this is not going to be overnight. This is probably going to take about, I think the first couple of pips, 17, 18, 19, will be done over, it could be done starting as soon as November, and it'll probably run us through about March, April. And there's a whole other series of pips that'll take us probably to the end of next year. But the goal is that
an entire network-wide upgrade that turns Polygon into a ZK EVM rollup.
Yeah.
That's massive. I mean, it's
and it will be the largest. By the way, it will be the largest roll-up by transaction volume, by PVL, etc. And then we think of the bandwidth of certain chains. I think it was like using the stats from back in April. If you took the sum of all of the transactions happening on Arbitrum since Genesis, Optimism since Genesis, ZK Sync, both of their chains since Genesis, Avalanche since Genesis, and Starknet since Genesis, and you summed all of their transactions since all of those chains were created, it was something like 75% of what POS did in the last year alone. And so, while it's definitely moving slower, we have to move slow because it's one of the largest blockchains operating right now, with a lot of very big clients on there, from teams like Robinhood and Nike, Reddit, Macy's, and a lot more.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up the large corporate sponsor type of stuff, like every single NFT launch that I see that's like a name brand, like Nike. Obviously, I think that was your biggest one, right? Like, it's always on Polygon. So they are just going to become like ETH NFTs.
I
Kinda.
think not either NFTs, but Jack, yeah, you can take this one.
Yeah. So I guess like the interesting point here too is like that top of the funnel, like classic large Web2 traditional financial, whatever else BD that you see us doing is something that like is always gonna remain one of Polygon's strengths. And so that's been and will continue to be like something that we do, and all of that really starts to take it from this isolated environment that loses a lot of the benefits of like composability and data availability on multiple chains that you get from working within environments that are able to communicate. You start to like really see all of those economies of scale in a way that you don't and didn't last cycle, when like every alt layer one and their mom was competing for kind of the same share in that category. It also really gets even more interesting too, because the way that we've been thinking about it, especially as of late, is part of the reason that we've really kind of doubled back down and refocused a ton of our time, energy, and resources on working with anons and crypto natives and DeFi natives in the middle of a bear market, especially, right? Is because if you kind of unilaterally focus on just the top of the funnel, you as an organization will not survive to see that realized, right? Like we've seen that time and time again. There's a lot of different layer ones that I'm sure all of you know and can name off the top of your head that had that business model of I'm going to compete for this massive traditional top of the funnel scale. I'm going to onboard people into Web3. And they quickly realized that from like an infrastructure and product perspective, we're getting there, but we're not there yet. And so if you kind of like take that viewpoint, it's really having that creator and builder economy among the DeFi natives that are innovating product, that are pushing new primitives on chain to solve for legacy issues, that really like not only is what is fun for myself and David to work on, it's why we got into the space, but it's also really what like adds value for these partners. And so I think like any successful blockchain org that wants to compete for that share like really needs to have the mindset of having a barbell approach towards building, where if you want to spend a lot of time, energy, and resources on onboarding these kind of legacy and traditional organizations, you need to devote just as much time, energy, and resources towards cultivating a community among the most crypto native builders.
That's an amazing response, and it's funny that you said that because before you even said barbell, I had written like on a piece of paper, I have Nike on the left side, then I have us, meaning the llamas, on the other side, and you guys are like bridging between giant Web 2 TradeFi stuff to all the way down to like grassroots type of, like the llamas, which doesn't get much more obscure and in the weeds than us, right? Like a bunch of anonymous coders that you guys can throw bounties at and say like, see if one of you can come up with a way to fix this. And then you have PYK roll in and be like, oh yeah, cross-chain voting, no problem. We'll get that done for you in a day or two.
For what it's even worth too, and this is something David just mentioned to me that I had forgotten for a second, but it's such a good point, right? Like this isn't just something that's happening in theory. This is something that's actually happening and has happened already. Like one of the bounties, one of the badges that we set for the llamas, and a llama actually completed. I don't see him on the call, or else I'd give him a shout out. But Llama 321 actually did a bounty for us for a very large enterprise where we had a series of contracts that needed to get built that were custom and required some crypto native to help us design the infrastructure and get it built out. And that was actually something that you have already worked on with us. And so like that's going to continue to happen, and you're going to see llamas contributing at the highest level of like this organization too, and in traditional finance and in Web 2, right? It's not going to be something that's strictly limited to like this degen random protocol that we want to build out.
Yeah, I building on that, we've had teams build even core to I think the Polygon ecosystem. I see PYK on this call built out the implementation for what will be DAI across this entire L2 system, literally to the specification brought in by Maker. I think it was Llama 321 eBAZ did a something for a large financial institution. We've also had bounties upcoming with teams like Rocket Pool and Lido and more. And we're happy to kind of we need to exist on both sides of the spectrum. I think the way we design products here is trying to do both, targeting crypto natives. There's always going to be that market, but also having an L2 that can compete with things like Quorum, right? Like we need to
not just continue to cater and improve the systems we have today, but be able to bring the largest companies into Web3, but to do it in a way that is truly ETH aligned. Like, I don't want to see Bank of America, Citi, BlackRock co-opt crypto by just running Quorum or running some like Hyperledger Besu instance that's detached from everything else. I want them running an L2. I want them attached to Ethereum and being part of the movement that we do together, as opposed to trying to co-opt it and be isolated outside. And that's kind of how we approach our product design. Is, we are crypto natives building for this future, and building in a way to kind of really try to bring everyone on board in a maximally inclusive manner.
Preach. That's so great. So I just have a quick question about I've read takes on both sides. I'm just curious what you guys believe. We have there's threaders and articles and whatever talking about kind of like how roll-ups are going to be more like skyscrapers where you don't really transact to another roll up all that often, and then there's also and then you can have multiple chains and app chains within that roll up structure. But then there's if there's optimism, Polygon, Arbitrum, there might need there should probably be some connection between those, but then there's trust, and everyone gets hacked when they try to bridge at least this last cycle. And I know Chainlink just did a big upgrade, but I'm just kind of curious what your guys' take is on these roll-ups not being their own islands.
Yeah, I think, Jack, you can take a first stab, and then I'll kind of come through with what we're doing longer term.
Yeah, I mean, David's definitely the right person to answer this in a really thoughtful way. But I think a lot of this kind of ties into the design that David will talk about in a second that we kind of chose for Polygon 2.0 and this ZKL2 framework, as well as tying in the interop layer, right? The ultimate goal of all of those decisions is to create an environment that, one, allows people to inherit as much of the kind of ETH adjacent security as possible. 2, maximizes composability across all of these chains. And 3, creates economies of scale within this model for the L2s that are getting deployed. And so diving into that a little bit more, right? If we think about the current state of affairs and a lot of the other ecosystems you talked about, I really want to spend a lot of time, kind of talking about what I think we do well rather than what others don't. Because being out here in a bear market and building is fucking hard, right? And so we have nothing but respect for anyone that's out here doing it. But with that in mind, right, the optimistic roll-up model, if you're running an L3, it's so many issues at scale with 14-day withdrawal windows, and anything that you kind of add to it ends up putting a Band-Aid on top of a giant gaping wound. And then you also, if you think about it from a traditional business perspective, you don't actually see any of the benefits of scale that you would kind of expect to see in a traditional enterprise, right? The more of something that you do, you should start getting unit economic benefits for deployment or network effects as a result. But in fact, in the current implementation, the exact opposite is happening. You either, if you want to run with the maximum security option, which would of course be a native bridge, you're forced to have these very long withdrawal windows, and each subsequent rollup that you spin up is functionally pulling liquidity off of your main network and taking it somewhere else. Or alternatively, it's taking emissions that could have been contributing to the broader ecosystem and directing them towards bootstrapping liquidity on a really specific network that doesn't actually spread network effects to anyone else. And as a result, you start to end up with increasing fragmentation and worse network effects at scale in these models rather than the positive effects that you would hope to see. And so part of our vision here with the interop layer and with all the things that we're building is, the batching of transactions and for submissions of fraud, or the batching of fraud proofs and submission to ETH via the interop layer, what functionally decreases the cost on a per chain basis the more chains we add. It increases the speed of finality, and it makes it such that you get network effects from the more chains that deploy, right? Like it doesn't have to be PvP from one L2 and another L2 within the Polygon CDK, because if one chain is bringing more liquidity into the interop layer, then every chain functionally has the ability to benefit from that. And those effects only increase in magnitude the more chains we bring on board, because finality increases and you're able to trustlessly and permissionlessly via a native bridge utilize this functionality to pass assets or messages cross-chain faster and faster, which really starts to lead to some really cool second order effects and potential product implementations that would be impossible on any other chain.
I can't believe I'm gonna have to take notes on all this, Hawthorne. They make me write notes on this, and I have to take that what you just said and try to distill that down to like 2 sentences.
So I can take I can try to take a stab to help you all. I think the end of the day, what we think when we look at like being on an island versus a skyscraper is, and I'll just say this as you know, from a system design perspective, we can learn a lot from our friends over in Web 2. Back in Web 1, they had things called mainframes. I know that sounds sacrilegious, but we gotta know our history. You know, we had mainframes, and mainframes only scaled us so long. And that this is like the monolithic model you might have heard of, and people talk about modular blockchains. I think those are just monolithic by another name. At the end of the day, you're going to exceed the capacity of a single blockchain if you are a truly successful application. We can look at Friendtech. Friendtech, like at some point, was like really pushing base to its limit. And imagine if you could just spin up a second blockchain, split your load across 2, but to users it looks like a singular chain, a singular unified block space. It's the same scaling trick we're basically doing in the cloud today, right? Like Discord's running thousands of servers behind the scenes. I don't really know which one either of us is connected to, but it doesn't matter. Exactly. It's like a unified service, a unified application. And that's the vision with CDK, with the interop in Polygon 2.0. And to be clear, it's not just Polygon exclusive. The one thing that we have said from the interop from day one is that it must be a ZK provable chain. And the reason we're going all in on ZK is this concept of validity proofs. You know, for an optimistic proof, it's a fraud proof. You have to prove that something was done incorrectly. And that requires someone to be watching, right? Like if no one's watching the chain, if you have millions of chains, who's watching all these optimistic chains? Who's going to call out fraud when it's seen? Versus for ZK, you have to do a validity proof. If you cannot prove that the transition was done correctly, it doesn't happen at all. And it's a question, I guess, then of kind of like aliveness versus security. Like we would rather halt the chain. Yeah, as Jack just wrote in the chat, if a chain rugs and no one sees it, did it even rug? And I think for us, it's more of like your chain can't even rug. It will just stop running. It will halt and be unable to move forward. And it's weirdly enough a lesson you can learn from Solana in that regard, right? They would rather, if there is a breakdown at all, they would rather just halt the chain until it can get fixed, as opposed to Ethereum, which would just suffer a liveness failure. Ethereum just won't finalize for a period of time. And I think that's the consideration we've made, is that we would rather have this large interoperable system, and we can even let other chains into it, right? There's if someone built a ZK prover for an Arbitrum chain, or let's say a team like Aztec or Starknet wanted to join this interop layer, they're ZK provable. They're welcome to come, because we just want to make it so that a chain can't rug another chain, that everyone has confidence from these ZK proofs that everything is valid.
That's both of your answers were unbelievable. Even the longer one at the beginning, and I loved it. I'm gonna go back and study all this stuff and pay it and write it up. We've been waiting for 4 years for the ZK thing to happen, right? Everybody's been like, it was Starknet, and then it was Immutable, or whoever it was before that was like, we were all farming airdrops for them, right? And it's funny to me, like, I'm just sitting here laughing about it, like, the one that's actually going to make ZK actually happen is Polygon. Like the one that you never connected to that. That's what these pips are about, right? Like your Polygon 2.0, you guys are just going to swoop in and like make the dream of ZK actually happen at scale, and it's going to be huge.
I hope we get there, and I'd say it's interesting, because even before I was a Polygon, I thought the same. I was shocked when I heard that Polygon was going to be the first ZK EVM. And I forgot that they invested. We invested $1 billion into ZK teams with 3 different teams. We have the Hermes team, which produced ZK EVM. We have Polygon Zero, which produces a software called Plonky, which is actually what has been written across all of the it's what being used by many of these other teams, like the other prover teams are using the Plonky base. It's a proving system. And then there's they're building a type 1 prover, and then there's also this team we have called Maiden, which is building non-EVM ZK rollups. And the really fun thing from being on the inside is I get to see all of these gigachads do crazy moon math together to bring something that was supposed to be years out to probably something we're going to have in the next year. Is this real ZK vision? And it's not just us. I actually do want to acknowledge the other teams. Starknet really showing what could be done with ZK and with alternative VMs with Cairo. And ZK Sync showing that these systems can run at scale. Optimism by really showing how you can turn this into a SaaS style model with OP Stack. Arbitrum by really showing the importance of fraud proofs. We're all working together at the end of the day to help Ethereum win. And so, while everyone jokes Polygon's Ethereum's BD arm, we hope we're part of the R&D arm as well.
It sure looks like it is to me. I mean, but we are pretty niche, right? Like we see these crazy bounties that you guys are throwing out there for anybody who wants to pick them up. So, obviously it's not a very publicized idea. Now, you guys have tweeted about all those badges on your 2 million follower Polygon Labs Twitter account, and thank you for doing that. But it's still not going to be like major knowledge that you guys are like funding this like deep in the trenches type stuff. I mean, this is actually kind of a cool marketing angle also, that you guys are going after anonymous developers for strange projects.
Yeah, and it's kind of like just the start of getting in the trenches too. Quickly touching on like one of the things that's a little bit less on the dev side and much more on like the BD and kind of go to market side is one of the things that like I was really excited about when I first joined Polygon 8 months ago was the opportunity to move from writing DeFi research. Right, I did it for 2.5 years as an anon. I wrote for people like Flywheel at Frax. I wrote for Redacted Cartel and a couple others, and it kind of had me spending a lot of time in the trenches with the building teams, helping understand not just like what they were building, but why they were actually trying to build it, and where the next logical step of the product goes. And I felt like when I had interacted with a lot of ecosystem BD teams historically, it wasn't really BD. It was sales, right? Like it's getting you to launch on the chain, and that's kind of the end of the engagement. Like maybe a grant, and then that's it. One of the things that I was really excited about is like building out a BD team that does actually get in the trenches with builders, right? Like that understands everything from DeFi 2.0 token and design to mechanisms and integration pipelines and all of these other things where in my eyes, like the support network that we're trying to build out right now, that should be hopefully coming out in the next couple of months here for projects deploying on ZK EVM is including like DeFi PMs that will be the most DeFi native people on the team, among a team that is extremely DeFi native, right? Where the idea is like you should have builders with building experience on your BD team to add value and actually do business development for teams. And so the goal isn't to just like be in the trenches building on the dev side, it's also on the BD side. It's also on the product side constantly. Like David and I were literally at a bar with builders last night, like theory crafting the end state of bridges for fun, right? Like this is just what we love to do.
Yeah.
Well, they're lucky to have you guys. I'd say both of Polygon. I mean, both of you guys are like they're lucky to have you guys working and talking for them, because you are by far the most well versed in of anybody I've talked to from one of these kind of big companies.
We appreciate
Yeah,
that.
I'm really curious. So let's just assume like a mass adoption happens. Like, what does that look like to you guys?
Mass adoption. You see, I think it's going to be done in a way that we probably won't like. And what I mean with that is it's going to be some service that's using Web3 behind the scenes and not marketing it or using it at all. It won't be called blockchain. It's not going to be called an NFT. It's not going to be called a token. It's just going to exist. I think we saw the start of it with some of these things, like what Reddit's done with their avatars, or what Starbucks is doing with Odyssey, right? Like it's all contained in their app. You're not actually going and connecting with your MetaMask. You still can if you want, and back and interact with the blockchain. Like I can trade my Reddit avatar on OpenSea, but it tends to be done through their first party application. I think that you're going to see a lot more experiences like that, very self-contained. And that's really what's going to blow up. Everyone's going to have a crypto wallet or a numerous amount of crypto wallets without knowing they have one per se. And I think you know, fundamentally, what we're all really building is this super deep back end tech, and that's you know, as much as we try to market it to normies and everyone, really who I'm selling it to is to founders, to entrepreneurs that are going to build the experience layer that touches the end users. Like I can explain to my grandma why she should hold Bitcoin or Ethereum, and thankfully she didn't, or this Thanksgiving would be awkward with the price movement. But what I'd rather her be using is some app that's powered by it, that's just allowing us to have a more equitable and fair internet. And if that's all we get out of it from mass adoption, I think that's the likely outcome.
I mean, I think that's a pretty incredible outcome, though, to have a more like a fair internet. I think that's a pretty great place to try to work toward.
Yeah, and it's also one of those things that that sort of mindset kind of extends to, I think, a lot of what we're seeing at the application level right now as well. And what I mean by that is there's kind of like two different types of apps that we're seeing developed right now. And I think this is like pretty notably different to last cycle, where the idea was I'm going to develop an app, it's going to be relevant for DeFi natives, and because people care about crypto, they're going to come on chain to check it out. I think in the market, especially in a bear market like this, it's kind of like a two-pronged mission where you're either creating a product for DeFi and crypto natives that, you know, may see some initial product market fit in a bear market, but it's really hard to bootstrap right now because it's such a PvP environment for those sorts of products. But there's also this massive category of other types of products that are getting launched right now that are built on chain, that are abstracting away a lot of the on chain elements and are functionally trying to just compete with fintechs or legacy product rather than say like, hey, I'm here to like both disintermediate the DeFi natives and reach a massive audience outside of crypto. That's really, really hard because I think like justifiably, given the way the last cycle ended, there's like a lot of hesitancy around blockchain. And the best way to actually onboard these people is to have them realizing that or have them using it without even realizing it, right? And so there's a ton of these products kind of coming out right now. There's even one built on Base, right? This isn't even a Polygon chill, called Blackbird that I ran into yesterday. That's basically built out like restaurant loyalty programs in New York. You receive NFTs as you accumulate different points for eating at the restaurants, and then you get free products for earning loyalty points, right? And so that sort of framework is entirely straightforward. You sign up with a phone number. You don't have to even have a wallet set up, any of these other things. But then in the background, you have all this stuff created and abstracted away for you. And then down the line, you learn that it all happened on chain and you go, oh, shit, that's crypto? Like, that's what I was scared of the entire time? I've had that conversation like 10 times with different types of people. And I think we'll start to see more and more and more of that happening over the next year.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, and just a quick follow-up question. I remember I read this article, I think it was a Brian Armstrong piece just about how every company will be its own chain, and it will be like it's your Square, it's your like Instagram network, it's your like cultural arm. Is that kind of how like you guys are picturing it too?
I think it's going to be right. Like we definitely believe in the app chain thesis, right? Like we have the CDK, and we actively work with some great teams that are building Gnosis Pay, IDEX, Astar, and many more that are going to be announced over the coming weeks. I'm sure you'll all see them on the Twitter. But I would say that I view it as an evolution, in the same way that like when you build a website, you first spin up something and you throw it in kind of shared hosting. And that's deploying an application to one of the public chains. POS, ZK EVM, Miden, Arbitrum OP, etc. Right? You're going to throw it on a public chain. And as that grows, right? Like the public chains have a fixed set of capacity. And obviously we're going to try to have them have as much capacity as possible. But at a certain point, you need your own chain, right? You need your own dedicated slice of Ethereum. And that's really what the CDK with these custom L2s do, is let you have your own customizable slice of Ethereum for you to run up to your own capacity. And if you need more, you get your own second slice of Ethereum. And the benefit of the interop layer we're building, again, that connectivity layer, is to make it so that the ability to take that step, to go from I'm on a public chain to I have my own slice of Ethereum, isn't as scary and isn't as hard. Because there's a ton of apps that use substantial amounts of block space. Friendtech is a perfect example. They're on Base. At some point, they're probably going to have to move to their own chain. They're just going to be using so many transactions that it doesn't make sense for them to stay on Base by themselves. Zora saw that they didn't need to stay on all of these chains. They had sufficient transaction volume. They should move to their own chain. I'm going to make a guess that Lens, it at times uses up to 35% of Polygon's total transactional space. Probably going to have to move to its own chain at some point if it wants to keep growing. And I think that's the model for app chains. Less so than like everyone's going to need it first. You're going to grow to the point that you need your own chain, or chains plural. And Polygon, we're here to be part of that journey with you all. Yeah.
Yeah, and the one kind of last thing I'll toss in there too is I think that mindset is like loosely correct, but it's also an abbreviation of what I think is really possible with this sort of framework. And what that kind of looks like is it's almost like saying like, oh, I'm really excited about NFTs because I can set them as my PFP and I'll have like a social indicator for other people that also have the same PFP. Like, yeah, that's true. But there's also like a lot of other things that you can use that sort of baseline mechanism for and build on top of it. And one of the things that David and I have spent time talking about is that fundamentally in any space, but especially in crypto, there's kind of like these arbitrary set of rules that are placed as to like, here is what this thing is for. But in reality, there's so many different generalizations that you can build on top of these basic frameworks just by kind of shifting your frame of reference. And so what I think part of what makes rollups really exciting as well is there's kind of like these generalized business models that have been built out as a result of like the current state of layer 1 and layer 2 blockchains. But the introduction of app chains, and especially like via stuff like Polygon CDK, you're all of a sudden able to create business models that either resemble traditional finance more, right? Like fees on trading get compressed over time, and so you compete on AUM, right? But there's no real way to compete on AUM in crypto strictly. And so how do you kind of solve for that? Well, that's something that we think you can potentially solve for via a layer 2 or rollup model, right? Or any of these other kind of frameworks. And so it's not just about, being able to like build out this kind of one niche vertical because of rollups, or just about block space, or just about business models. It's kind of the customizability and flexibility that you're able to gain, and ideally do so without sacrificing a lot of what makes building on a public network great, which is the ability to interact with other dApps and community members, share liquidity, and do all of these kind of other things that us as degens know and love.
Oh, that's cool. That's great. Yeah, just like my last question here, real quick, and then I'll quit talking so much. What are your guys's what's your most like hot take that will come to life the next two or so years that like no one's gonna see coming?
I would. My lawyer's probably not going to want me to say my take. But
I was gonna say, I don't know if we can leak that much alpha right now. But
I can't leak that much alpha. I'll say a few things. So I think the first thing is, rollups fundamentally are applications on Ethereum. And not just rollups, like POS too. Like POS, zkEVM, Optimism are all to Ethereum the same way that Curve is to Ethereum. There's the reason that when you look at like Arbitrum's governance, it's OZ Governor, which is essentially the same framework used by many other applications. I think there's a lot of innovation to go still on making chains properly governed and chain rewards being properly distributed. I think you will see a lot of innovation come out of the Polygon ecosystem as well as many others. That's the first thing. The second is I think that we have a long way to go on bridges, and I'll leave it at that. A big shout out to PYK, who has demonstrated some of what's possible with bridges in the DAI build. So if you would like to see the alpha long term, maybe look at the bounty he did for us with DAI and what it's doing with DSR, and try to extrapolate a year, 2 years out. I can't say much more than that, or Jack might fire me. So I'll be I'll say that. But I think
Like,
you know,
David's not my boss's boss's boss.
So if you want alpha, you just gotta watch the badge space on the llamas and non-Twitter or a Discord account. Okay. That
Yeah,
I'll
always
just
does,
keep doing what I'm doing. Now, okay, so where's my
Yeah.
max exposure to you guys winning at the CK thing? Do I go buy Matic tokens? Wait,
hey, listen, we can't not financial advice. I can't talk about tokens at all. Just being transparent. I think like at the end of the day, if you're bullish on the ZK space, if you're bullish on the space that we're all working in, Ethereum. Like we're here to make Ethereum win. We're here to make Ethereum grow. That's where I would say you get the exposure to us and you get exposure to all teams.
just back to the old rule of being 80% ETH and then 20% shitcoins. Okay.
Yeah, and I'd also definitely keep an eye out on some of what's going to be happening on ZK EVM over the coming months. I'd say like to date, you know, a lot of what we were focused on was the developer experience, right? Like the focus wasn't maximizing TVL or Uniswap DEX forks or compound forks in the middle of a bear market. That was never the purpose, right? Like the reason we engaged with the llamas from day one was to build public goods for developers on the network and create a big differentiation on the product and infrastructure side, such that, you know, if I am a developer, I have all of these different resources that are completely unique and available exclusively on ZK EVM, you know, not just relative to other ZK L2s, but relative to even optimistic L2s. And with that happening, I think, you know, the badges that we put out have gone a long way toward that. David and his team and the engineering team have done an absolutely incredible job, like pushing the network forward and taking something that, like you said, was a dream 2 or 3 years ago and taking it closer and closer to completely ready to compete on the ground with the product market fit that optimistic rollups have grown in the last 2 years. And so I think the goal for the remainder of 2023 is to lock down as much of that kind of engineering and product differentiation as possible and build up a meaningful foundation of DApps, and not just DApps on the generic level, but DApps that are differentiated both in terms of like new primitives, thinking about product in a different way, taking legacy mechanism and tokenomic design and applying it to new structures to solve for key issues. And even more so, and I think this is probably my biggest hot take, and maybe it's not even that hot of a take, but it's definitely something that people don't really care about right now, is that there's a big difference between running a product or running a TVL farm and running a business, right? And I think a lot of the projects that we see coming to market are almost like encouraged to have perverse incentives by design, right? Like if your business model is generating a highly inflationary token to draw in users and then getting a large grant and then continuing to use those incentives to draw in users, it's really hard to, at least with my kind of TradFi background, it's really hard for me to ever create an environment where that business is self-sustainable over the long term.
And it's not a business.
Yeah, exactly, right? And so it kind of just makes me always sit there and wonder, like, and no, this isn't even targeted at anyone in particular, it's kind of just generalized, it's like, what are we doing here, right? Like, is the goal just to ship shit and like try and make a buck? Like, yeah, some days it is, but ideally, like at the end of the day, you can take that buck and roll it over into something that is actually meaningful and has the opportunity to really disrupt something in a thoughtful way. And that's kind of the big area of focus for us right now at ZK EVM is, you know, if we build this foundation of builder mindshare and new primitives and people that are excited and give a shit about what's actually happening, then, you know, throwing the speculation in down the line is easy. And then from there, you actually have something for speculators to roll over into that isn't just, I'm going to bridge back to ETH mainnet and stake ETH and call it a day.
All right. Thank you, guys. That was a monster amount of stuff. Now, am I allowed to bug you about the polybot thing, or is that like
You're welcome. Well, yeah, we can. Happy to
are you
talk
guys
about.
are you guys gonna do a special like tweet announcement about that, or can you tease us some stuff about it?
I can tease with it. If you look in the chat, I dropped a few EIPs that the product team is super bullish on and researching. And the third one there is EIP 6551. In fact, a few different of the bounties that we've put out, the badges we put out, have been directly tied to EIP 6551, building some interesting cross-chain infrastructure. In 6551, I can describe it a bit. Basically, allows an NFT like maybe a llama to have a smart contract wallet on any arbitrary chain at a predictable address. And so there could be a potential for this NFT to end up in all of the llama's various wallets on a various chain, potentially being the first ever 6551 based airdrop NFT. So I think that's something that we're considering. As for when that's announced, I mean, part of it is the tech's got to get built and audited. So it's llamas making artwork, leveraging tech built by other llamas, and we're here to kind of set a blueprint for cool new tools for creators to use. So I think that's some of the plan we're thinking about with Polybots, but that's the NFT product team. That's not really us between me and Jack.
That's amazing. I mean, that's like what a way to feature it for us. It's really, thank you for doing that. To be able to say like we're going to roll out a new, a first time airdrop on 6551 and have it be something that's connected to us is huge for us.
Yeah. Of course, I said that we are all very bullish on the llamas. There's many memes in the Polygon Slack.
And then going from there, from the 11, call it 12 badges that we've done so far with PYKs and all the cool stuff, and then ending with the most recent one being Polybots that just wrapped up. You guys have more in the pipeline planning? Like, are you already?
Oh yeah. We're I think we've internally, and Jack's gonna hate that I'm committing to numbers. I think we're looking to probably double the amount that we are putting towards llama bounties in the next year. So we currently have about 5 badges in development, and this is not just Polygon. Like we've brought Lens, we brought Token Bound, we brought Aave4, we obviously brought Maker. We've brought a couple of unnamed enterprises, and we have a couple on the horizon with teams like Lido, like Rocket Pool, and a few others that we can't announce yet. And so, as we say, it's as we find teams in the Polygon ecosystem that need support getting deployed or want to explore interesting concepts, where we try to bring them here. That's kind of so we're trying to increase our bandwidth to get badges out to you faster. We're hoping to try to drop some that are even integrated into the Curve ecosystem. We know that's of particular interest to this group here.
I was gonna say, have you thought about Curve?
We have.
We have in fact done a little bit of thinking about Curve, believe it or not.
Hey, we got a Curve pool. I share that tweet. I know it's a big. I'm supposed to celebrate like the launch of a Curve pool on Polygon, right?
The ASD one. There's some very interesting things that could be done with that Curve pool. I'll leave it at that. I think I was talking with Hoth and Panda behind the scenes. If there's any good Viper developers around here, there's a chance we joke that we might want to try to spark a new battle in the Curve Wars. Currently, all of the nations, Yearn, Convex, Stake DAO, are all at peace, and then Llamas plus Polygon might have to attack.
David's been scaring all of my PM candidates away by asking them weird esoteric questions about the structure of curve gauges.
Oh no! Just show him the math picture.
David's like, that there are 3 types of curve gauges. Name them all, or you're not getting a job.
Oh man, you just got to talk to Mo. He's like the resident like obscure curve guy, at least that I know. He's like rewriting their docs, and it's crazy all the obscure knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
I mean, I can drop the trivia question. There are 3 categories in our mind of curve gauges. Taking your LP tokens to earn curve is just one. There are 2 others. One has, I think, about 11 instances of it, and the other one has just 1 instance of it. Drop your answer, and Jack will send you 25 USDC.
Sure, I will in fact do that.
Didn't we do a USDC badge?
It was the USDC badge. The USDC badge is, I think that our ecosystem wanted to see a different, a different version of USDC to kind of demo what an L2 native one could look like. To be clear, this one has not been done in conjunction with Circle. As much as we love our friends over there, they tend to be a little bit more conservative than all of us. But we have the ability to move things forward in the ecosystem at a faster pace, and so I think our hope is we deploy that, see if they like it, and go from there. Again, we are very much on the barbell strategy. Let's be degen and pull people forward.
Thank you, guys. We're right up against an hour on you, and I know I was trying to get done by 1:30 or whatever it was, or 12:30 your time, for some of you to be able to go. So appreciate answering that and talking to us for an hour and giving us all this monster alpha.
Of course,
it's way more than we deserve.
Yeah, we're here in the Discord alongside you all. Keep looking out for more Polygon and Friends bounties, and we're always available on all of the socials and etc. If you all have ideas you want to see built. So we're here to support builders and here to support the llamas.
Yeah, if any of you are ever looking for a fun place to build a crazy product idea and want an ecosystem to support it, I hope any of the llamas know that they can hit my DMs, and I am always available to help get you guys a resource on the Polygon side. So just keep me posted.
Thank you, guys.
Killer.
Oh, Pepe missed.
You guys.
Of course, Pepe missed the damn polybot thing. Good thing I'm recording it, and there's no way that's gonna fail. I'll write it up.
We're very excited for the polybots. The art looks absolutely dope.
It is awesome. All right. Cheers.
All right, thanks, guys. I'm gonna roll over to KP now, and try to get you some time, KP, if you're up.
Thanks, Cogsy. Man, that was pretty incredible from the Polygon team.
Good luck following that. They have like a legit BD and marketing team. I mean, is this what I'm supposed to be? Am I supposed to be able to talk like that, Hawthorne? Because this ain't gonna work, dude. You need to hire somebody.
Oh man, I mean, I think KP might can you, man. You gotta.
KP's gonna fire my ass.
I think we should give JJ a shot next at the DJ.
I know. I'm gonna have to rotate this through. I can't follow that.
No, you're doing great, man. But yeah, just a quick update because so I was actually supposed to go on the 29th of September, but Cogsy made that mistake, so I was rushing to just get something together, and man, I don't even know where to start. Well, okay, so after the audit finished, refocused or reprioritized on figuring out how to make fees, and having previously worked in DeFi, I felt like that was the safest for token holders, because that's the last thing I would want to do is to let them down. And so, yeah, try to first build a Curve USD leveraging contract, and then, but I kept running into an issue because using Curve's pools, after a decent amount of size, the slippage would be too great, and the pricing for the ETH. So I was focusing solely on ETH, but the pricing for the ETH would just be really pretty bad, and you're kind of seeing that now with Curve's offering, right? I mean, Curve does a great job. Not saying anything about the developers, and I understand why they're using solely Curve pools, but the liquidity is capped by what's available within the Curve ecosystem, right? And
let me ask you a dumb question. How big is the Curve ETH pool versus the other ones that you're connecting to? Are we talking like 10 times? Like, are you opening up the the available liquidity by 10xing it with going to Uniswap or whoever?
Thanks, Jack. No, that's a great question. So it's not just the liquidity, but also a difference between approaches. So Curve. So the difference between if it was just Uni V2 versus Curve, we're just increasing the amount of liquidity available and hopefully spreading the swaps across that between the two AMMs. But what I'm really doing is, even if I'm not increasing liquidity by 10 times, I'm now introducing Uni V3's concentrated liquidity, which is actually a pretty big. Like, even if the liquidity is the same as Curve's, it's a world of difference because of the liquidity being concentrated within a certain range, right? So Curve's is spread across. I'm pretty sure is spread evenly. I'm not sure. I mean, someone from Curve would probably be able to better, answer that. But just based on what I'm seeing, and depending on what tokens you're swapping, introducing Uni V3, there's barely any slippage because of all the liquidity is packed within that tiny range. So I'm using Uniswap solely for swapping stablecoins. And since there's so much liquidity and that liquidity is so thick, most of the LPs are not expecting USDC or USDT to deviate, beyond like a penny, right? So compared to Curve, it makes a pretty major difference. But using Curve pool solely for the purposes of swapping out Curve USD for another stablecoin and then moving entirely over to Uniswap. I'm pretty excited for. Okay, so sorry, I'm definitely getting off track here. This wasn't really a prepared talk, but ran to the issue of Curve of the limitations of Curve liquidity. So decided to build a sort of aggregator. I mean, it wasn't because of the liquidity constraints, but also because the way in which I was increasing or the leverage on the contracts was by looping it. So I couldn't go the normal aggregator route because typically they'll require you to submit a quote off chain to their servers, and then from there you could then those orders can then be filled on chain. But I didn't really have that option because the order amounts were not known ahead of time. And yeah, I'm not even going to bore you guys with the details, but yeah, the gist is I went and built a little router, which has now become a special interest to me. And I think it's probably going to be our main focus going forward because of how much easier it makes development. So you might have seen yesterday, there was that Curve USD flash loan contract that I shared on Twitter, and that took like half a day to write. And I think most of that was made possible because of the router, because I don't have to deal with swapping tokens. So the difference between the router, my goal with the router was to make it as easy as possible to swap tokens and fetch quotes for tokens, and abstract away any notion of, which AMM am I using? Okay, what are the different parameters for their functions? All the different code. It's now purely just, okay, I have token A and I want to swap for token B. Give me the best quote, and now let me swap it. So I think this router is interesting, and it's hopefully I'll be able to provide more progress later. But yeah,
it's also lower in fees than what you're competing against, right? Like, I mean, the other options for the aggregators. So you said that you were picking up quite a bit of the slippage savings was in the lowered fees.
Yeah, so it was a number of things, but so comparing quotes on DeFi Llama's swap aggregator, the quote for the J.Page router was almost always better because we charge lower fees. But only when it came to swapping between Curve USD and ETH or Wrap State ETH. I'm definitely not going to claim we're able to be more efficient than the other routers for every single other token. But I thought that was kind of interesting to see, and it was a good exercise because swapping tokens is for most interesting DeFi applications. It's probably like the backbone of those applications, right? I mean, that's usually a necessary operation. But yeah, pretty excited because I think J.Page is going to shift to focusing on building out these developer services and tools and infrastructure that abstracts away the complexities, because I've been saying for a very long time that some of these things are overly complicated and unnecessarily so. And I mean, it's the case for a reason. And I mean, a lot of that abstraction has been handled by standards and things like that. But I think we're never ever gonna move away from having multiple AMMs being released that apply different methodologies for however they do things, and those carry with them differences, right, in how you do things. And so this router, I think the most interesting thing about it is it's future proofed. So it will be able to handle any AMM, as far as I could tell, that deals with ERC20 tokens going forward. So even UniV4 will be supported even if I deploy this before it's launched. So that should be really interesting. But yeah, excited. I think hopefully we'll be producing fees soon.
Did you ever see the router as being a standalone product?
Yeah. So I think after this week, after this call, I'm actually probably just going to go all in on the router and try to focus on not only building our own applications and improving the router at the same time, but also working with other developers to build applications that need the router. Because I definitely do think there is a place for it, even with the existence of aggregators, just because of how easy it is to use. And even when redacted, it's just sometimes developers, I mean, a lot of developers are willing to give up a little bit of fees just for the sake of safety and convenience. So I think that's where we're gonna try to fit in. Let's just make it 5 IQ to swap tokens, get quotes for them, etc., and be able to support all the AMMs and provide the most efficient routes for them.
And simplify the actual building process of building dApps on top of the router, right?
Yes, exactly. But also today, I saw something that one of the Llama Air Force guys said, and they mentioned enabling developers developers or people who support the protocol to be able to earn as well. So I think some ZeroX does this actually. So if you can actually, if you were to use ZeroX's API and build your own front end around it, you could actually earn fees yourself. And we're going to be doing something similar too. So in the swap function, your people who want to, let's say llamas, like Dina builds a like an aggregator page or a token swap page or something. What she could do is she could add the address of the llama treasury, and all traffic that is routed, that all swaps done from the llama page the treasury will earn a share of the fees. Half of them, actually.
So it's like a royalty system for developers or for anybody who builds you could tag it into any kind of a contract. It wouldn't have to be front end, right?
Exactly.
It could be like a dApp, like your curve leverager. Somebody uses it, the router feeds you some fees, but also using the website, the Llama front end could fund a front end developer. I mean, that's like it's needed as fees compress, like the Polygon guys were talking about. The fees eventually go to zero, right?
Yeah. What's interesting is I actually didn't catch that specific thing that they said, but I definitely do agree. It is a race to zero as these systems become more efficient, and I guess more developer or actors are entering the space and willing to take less and less. What's interesting is even at the beginning of J.Page, we were exploring different fee models. So originally, J.Page was supposed to be a marketplace, and the way in which we were monetizing was withholding a little bit of the ETH fees from sales and then staking them. And that staking yield would be our revenue, and then we would later return that ETH. So it'd basically be a zero fee marketplace, but we earn from a native means, which we're not really charging anyone. It's just the I guess that I don't know if you're not doing anything with the ETH. I mean, there is obviously value, to that time, but yeah, I mean, we were capturing it instead. But yeah, so this is I guess potentially interesting because if developers don't know how to monetize their apps, they could always just use the router and they'd be able to earn half the fees. So killing two birds with one stone. If your app needs swapping, efficient swapping, and you don't know how to make money with your app, then yeah, use the router, I guess. And yeah, definitely, yeah, it'll be really interesting. I think this is a very different approach too on the actual code side of things. For how, at least based on the code I've looked at for other aggregators, but I guess we'll have to see. Yeah, hopefully in the next couple months we'll be open sourcing it, because I reached out to Pashov today after we're done with the mint and we have a good idea of how much funds we have, then we'll go ahead with the audit and then probably deploy the contracts and verify them after that. But yeah, thanks for staying here and
thank you for coming in and doing our little bit of leaks here at the end and jumping on 2 weeks earlier than I had previously asked you to. Did you? I shared the tweet that you had for the leverager. For the flash loan.
Not the leverager.
Flash loan, rather.
Yeah. So the leverager. So okay. So what I did finish today was the not just the flash loans, but the light version of the Curve USD leveraging contract, and it's very similar. It doesn't do anything. The leverager actually doesn't do anything different from Curves. I think the actual difference is the use of the router, or how the collateral is routed. Or I mean, the stable coins are. Yeah, it really just comes down to the slippage and the efficiency of the swaps. But okay, so what is interesting is on the 29th, I mean, if I decide to finish it, because right now I'm like, man, Curve doesn't really care that much. But no, I'm just kidding. Actually edited this out, thanks, Cogs. Please. But yeah, so what I was going to have on the 29th were token-owned contracts. So I actually asked the Curve Telegram if it'd be interesting to be able to borrow against your leverage positions, and by having contracts that are actually owned by tokens. So this is actually very different from 6551, because you still have the ERC 721s and the two I guess different I don't even know what to call it, but yeah, the contract account entity still is present. It doesn't use any 6551, but what happens is it makes use of the common like ownable contract. Well, okay. Well, no. So what happens is it has so it just checks to see if the caller actually owns the NFT, and if not, it doesn't allow them to call methods that are related to token or to asset management. So not only are you able to do interesting things like take loans against your leveraged positions, because the actual NFT is now representative of your your leverage position. But you'll also be able to enable things like third-party managers for your for those positions. If, say, for example, you're like you have a 5x leverage position, you're like, I need you, Cogsy, your protocol to handle my liquidations or to manage my position and make sure I don't get hard liquidated. Then yeah. So I think that's pretty interesting, because it's just it kind of expands or I guess takes Uniswap's NFTs for their LPs and kind of provides it or for Curve USD. I think maybe no one really cares. I mean, no, I think it's pretty interesting actually. But yeah, I don't know. It's a bear, so it's really hard to really tell if the things that you're building are useful or not, because the people who are using
just get back to me in 2 years and let me know if this shit works.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I'll just keep this in our pocket for a bit. Maybe after Mitch, finishes, because I think there are going to be new stablecoin deployments and stuff too. But yeah, I have spoken, or not against. I mean, I'm fine with 6551, but I just felt like I wanted to try a similar implementation using the existing offerings, because.
Yeah, I saw one of the guys from Polygon mentioned the 6551 thing. Like, the 2-year vision hot take was rebuilding wrapped ETH, and I'm like, well, I got a guy for you, but I'm kind of afraid that like if Polygon was to steal you, that I would be left in poverty, because then what happens to my project? So I have to hide you from them and never let you go to work for Polygon. You don't live in New York, do you? Oh, sorry, you don't have to answer that. You're anonymous.
No, I'm not. I'm actually already doxxed, but like KP is actually my initials.
Oh, good,
But,
good. Yeah, I like this. Give me more.
But no, yeah, you maybe should admit some more rumors that I wouldn't have to go first for them.
It's my responsibility to keep you from going to work at Polygon. It's a big burden to bear.
12,000 of them, right? But no,
I carry your ability to stay true to yourself on my shoulders.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I think at this point, just having a chance to build whatever I want, and for people who supported me and believe in me, is probably worth more than any paycheck. But no. P.S. Polygon, if you're listening to this, anything above 2 million or something, yeah, I'll consider it. I was kidding. No. But
Don't go to that karaoke bar.
Yeah, man. No, but as a builder, it sucks balls right now. But because I see a few builders in the audience, like PYK and stuff, and the Polybot guys. But yeah, we should just hang in there. I think we'll be totally fine. And of course, the llamas. I mean, llamas doing an incredible job. So I hope they get their subbed out status soon, because they probably deserve it most, in my opinion, of the the latest group.
Man, I got a lot of editing to do after this show's over, Hawthorne. And I told you I was going to edit some stuff out last time, and I don't. I just post it. So
I know, man. Can you not have that penalty?
What? I mean, what's the downside right now? Apparently, there were like 20 llamas sold while we were on the call. So I don't really think that I have, like, the bar is so low.
Wait, what? 20 were sold during the call?
Yeah. Messi just puked the rest of his stack while we were on the call.
Serious?
Yeah, like we were having I thought we were having a good call. Like, I'm like, man, this is awesome. We're doing really good. And then I look at sales feed and everybody's like, what the hell is going on?
Was this before or after my
It was you. It was definitely you. No.
Sorry, man.
Okay, other than the tweet with the flash loan, is there anything that you can show that I should share? Like, is there any other test run of the leverager or of the router that it technically is right now? The test name is Grinder, right? We're gonna call it Grinder.
It's not Grinder.
Okay,
it's
not Grinder. Not Grinder. The router that shall forever be known as not Grinder it's kind of a cool name though. For like, sorry.
I don't even know why Grinder is named Grinder, man. I mean, I don't even.
Well, I can explain it. So
no, I've heard.
Is there anything else you want me to? Is there anything else you want me to share that is like a actual use case of you testing it, like on either the testnet or on mainnet?
Sorry, what was that exactly? Or you said what was the?
Oh, I've got the tweet for the flash loan, which used the router, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything else that I can share, like in a tweet or in the show notes or anything that would, like, for people to go look at to see, like, this is what maybe like the GitHub or like your should I go to the actual code and just like show them your
so the contracts aren't verified yet, and they will be after the audit. But yeah, I wish I could have done that huge. I mean, later when I work on the UI, so I've been kind of torn on the UI because I think I might use MetaMask snaps to, I don't know, avoid having to deal with like US regulatory stuff, because those apps are hosted entirely on the user's computers or the browsers.
What did you call the one that's self-hosted?
MetaMask snaps.
Okay.
But I was considering just doing the static calls on the website, so you could actually simulate the loans and their outputs. But yeah, I mean, I'm still figuring out how to best go about implementing the front end. So I think MetaMask snaps, because I don't really want to do it on J.Page, to be honest. But yeah, I'll figure it out. I mean, YOLO, right? I mean, what are they gonna do? Like steal the $0 of profit, the negative dollars of profit.
What about my Roombas?
Give it. Should I? Are they gonna make me repay everyone for the Roombas? We're already offering refunds. I don't know what else. What they should take from me.
What's gonna take from me? I'm gonna give people back their
They've already taken
0.06
everything.
ETH.
I'm just kidding. But no, really appreciate all the llamas. I mean, yeah, if it weren't for this community, it probably. I mean, I'm speaking honestly, probably wouldn't be, busting ass as hard. Like, I really appreciate it.
All right, thank you for keeping us updated all the time in your channel, and
Thanks, guys. Thank
it's
you.
fun. It's fun to go in there and tease you.
It's
I'm
just pretty much just
massively.
me
I think I'm
talking.
even. Am I even more underwater on my Roomba entry than I am on my llamas?
I mean, the Roombas are worth 0, so it was an instant minus 0.069.
Yeah,
Until we make
true.
fees.
All
Until
right.
we make fees. At least you know that I'm seriously. I'm not gonna stop until we make fees. So at least you have that. And on top of that, yeah, we are offering refunds. The only reason why it's cut off on the 15th is because I have to pay the artist because we didn't pay him up front. And I'm very glad now that we didn't sell out. Mid-talent, because it would have been a lot to pay him. But
You've been paying this guy, but he would have been the one that made out like a bandit.
yeah, he makes 10%, so he's looking at currently three ETH right now. And then on top of that, we pledge 1% to Vectorized, who's been super helpful, and to help fund Salady, the public good.
That's awesome. Gotta get that guy paid.
Yeah, Vectorized is awesome, man.
I want my customs first though before you pay him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. By the way, I have news about the custom. I don't know if we've made enough for Adam to draw the honoraries, but I'm going to figure something else out, and most likely I'll just increase the amount of tokens for honoraries, people with honoraries, and
Wow, live
I'm
on
sorry.
the Graze, you heard it here. A live rug.
I mean,
just
he's not.
happened on our
He's
call.
making. I think he's not very happy about how much he's getting, but I did say, hey, look, if you are not happy with the sales outcome. I mean, he's a friend, but yeah, I totally understand. I think he did expect to make more on the sale. But yeah, I appreciate him being pretty patient about that. And yeah, I don't think he's gonna do honoraries though, based on
Right.
the sales, which is totally fine. But we'll figure something else out for the honorary art. But you will get tokens, and I'll increase the amount of tokens. We can increase the amount of tokens because originally honoraries weren't going to get tokens at all. But yeah, I mean, since we didn't mint out, we wanted to, thank the people who were here for us. So yeah, but we'll figure out the art later. Sorry about that.
All right. Well, this is going good. How did we pivot so strongly, Hawthorne? The beginning of this call versus the end. I mean, it's just like the fire is the house is slowly burning down around us during the call. And I'm trapped inside. All right. So usually we talk at the beginning of the call, KP, about the other stuff that was going on kind of like during the week, but I kind of forgot. I've had such a crazy 2 weeks. I haven't even really been keeping up other than with permissionless. There was a couple of things that the Polygons guy said that sounded like the permissionless stuff that you'd shared on Twitter, from that opening keynote.
Oh yeah, Eric Voorhees, man,
and the millions of chain stuff that they were mentioning, and like the private chain for every Frentex too big for base already, which is funny.
Oh, did he say that on the keynote, or you meant someone else?
I was just talking about the call today that the Polygon guys were talking about.
Oh,
like they have one app on Poly that's like 37% of all their transactions. Is it Lent or Lend or Lens?
It's Lens.
Lens.
Yeah.
And then
oh,
they
this
were,
one? Yeah.
and then also now Base has like 80% of their transactions is Frentech, and the other 20% is just the bridge coming in to go to Frentech.
They're not running into any. I mean, they have plenty of throughput to handle even Frentech though, right? Because aren't they like the sole sequencer? I mean, Coinbase is.
Yeah. So they should just be able to just turn on more.
They're AWS, just like
or rack space.
She's a bigger instance. I don't know. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see. I'd like to see Reddit communities be their own chains eventually, because that means we've made it. But I think that's pretty interesting too. I mean, with Arbitrum focusing on with moons and stuff. But I don't know. I think, yeah, honestly, I think that would probably be the decentralized social network killer. Like if Reddit ever, I don't know, gets their shit together for blockchain, for crypto.
I totally
really-
forgot about that deal until he mentioned it on this call. Like I hadn't thought about that Reddit NFT launch thing in like months.
Doesn't I always hear legendary things about Polygon's BD, so I feel like they could just swoop in right now and try to, I don't know, steal Reddit.
Own everything. How did
Yeah, man,
Polygon
I
miss Friendtech?
Yeah, I will
Well,
say I think the most interesting thing about the Polygon guys is how great they are with people. Like that, they just make you want to work with them, you know. And I don't even work with. I mean, I'm not even doing it Polygon, but yeah, like they're super cool people.
Dude, that was like the best call I've ever been on ever. I mean, I'm not on myself.
Besides
It's
the
like never
Jesus
listened
one.
to.
Yeah. Jesus
Oh,
is
Block
fun.
Jesus. So yeah, Block Jesus he does top them.
We
God, I
should
wish he
bring,
was here.
Yeah, I see PYK. And the Polybots guys. Do they want to share their updates? Because I don't want to hug the stage. I mean, I think we're just shit posting right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is the end part. This is where we did the shit posting part.
Okay, so they said they were gonna do some updates or something, right?
No. Well, I didn't talk to anybody, Generator or Llama Bro or any of those guys, because they did their rap already. They rapped. Oh, hold on, let me bring them up.
Yeah, I missed that. Oh yeah, I think here. Let me get you PYK. Or how do you add?
Yeah, since 2 weeks ago, Llama Bro. Hi, by the way, welcome.
Hey,
Welcome
hey,
to
Dave,
this
can you hear me?
episode of the Graze and the amazing quality production that we have going here. And I'm just annihilating you on Friendtech. I'm sorry. Not sorry. Llama Bro, where you at?
I got bad news for you guys, man. I'm on Friendtech
Can
as
you
well.
hear me all right?
Yeah, I got you both. Generate's on. I bought him.
You own me.
So anyway, in 2 weeks since you guys came on, that you guys were on to mention or to do the wrap thing, like the final, say that it was like 99% done, and then the actual date did come, and you guys finished the polybots and sent the spreadsheet to Poly, and now it's complete, right? Project complete.
Well, I mean, yeah, I missed the beginning of the call, and I understand that people have been happy. We submitted everything, and actually since then gone back and done a little bit more polishing as well. But pretty happy overall, and just kind of waiting for some feedback, really. And in the meantime, just working on Llama Quest and getting the Pixel Llamas going again, and just trying to get that momentum finished because there's still a boatload of work to do on that front. And then, of course, with everything that's happened, kind of getting the Quest DAO sort of framework a little bit more legitimate. Probably going to get a website up soon and like a mission statement and maybe a donation address and that kind of stuff. Just get that going as we start to get a little bit more visibility.
Nice.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was.
We get to do our first distribution. We actually get to pay some of our artists, which is core to our values here.
Oh,
Super excited.
finally
to
getting paid.
Yeah, we're really excited to actually share the rewards with people. And as we look for other projects to work on, that's kind of something that we want to keep doing. That anyone who participates and helps out on these different projects is going to be comped in to the extent that they helped. And that way we can rise all of our ships together, huh?
That's awesome. Because we definitely need some ship rising. Did you get to hear that whole like thing with them talking about 6551 and like teasing what the polybot, what they're for, like their real function of them?
Oh yes, it's super exciting. We can't wait till they announce this and we start to actually see what it looks like.
I mean, it's like all tied in perfectly with their ZK rollout, and then now with those 2 pips or 3 pips that they just put out, like you can see it all kind of coming together. Like all this work that they've been bountying and getting us to do, and then including the bots, has been for this push towards their frontier project.
such a cool experience, and they're an amazing team. They were so nice to work with on this project, and so cool that they thought of us extensively at like every aspect of this project, from the development side all the way to like the marketing angle. So we're thrilled.
It's been really good. Okay, big question for you, Llama Bro. When is Friend Tech gonna crash and burn? When do I cash out? Because I got like half an ETH right now, and I kind of need the money.
Don't
How
you need to
long?
be worth something again first? I mean,
I'm gonna sell all of my own keys, so then I don't feel
No.
bad, right?
We're going to translate it to when am I going to dump all of your keys and cash out?
I'm just gonna push the sell Llama Bro index, where it just sells all 13 or whatever they are.
You're like Cogsy Bogdanov.
I am. That's what everybody.
Yeah,
That's my nickname.
you can't dump on llamas. That's not okay. And to be frank, like I've
Cogsy
had
can.
Cogsy can, and Hoth too. Hoth does some dumping, but
He's
but hey,
relentless, man. But he's been hanging out with Cogsy a lot.
bad influence. There you go. That makes sense. I found that the best strategy is just buy and hold and sell, once in a blue moon, but really just hold your llamas. Everyone has been appreciating so well, especially the top 10 list. People have been flying up that thing.
I can't believe that one's at 80 ETH. It doesn't click.
Oh, wait, someone's messaging me here. Uh-oh. Oh, someone's calling me out for selling one of my Dina keys. Yeah, I can't. We need to let more people in. Someone's got to be able to ping Dina for relationship advice. That's the benefit there, right?
Did she agree to that?
No, but I've been promoting it that way. So
Yeah, because you have like 10 keys, so you're doing it out of your own self-interest.
I only have one left. I'm down to my last, and I'm never selling. I'd never sell my last one. Got to keep my Dina.
Mm-hmm. What's your portfolio?
If I can access Friend Tech.
Yeah, just crash it out and then re-log in.
Let me try that.
It's like they have a 12-year-old kid building that thing. Well, we said it was Brian Armstrong's nephew, right?
By the way, if you're not using Friend Tech on your laptop, on browser, that's the way to do it. It's so much better and so much more convenient. And frequently the app will kick me out on the phone version, but the website one works fine. So I don't know, probably do that. If you check my Twitter feed, you'll see a bunch of tips on how to do that.
All right. What about we haven't heard from Hoth in a while. Hoth, are you muted on purpose?
Hoth is checking in with his little ones.
Okay. Well, he got through the first hour. Like he was able to pull that out. That was definitely worth the hundreds of dollars he spent on a babysitter today. Hawthorne had to hire a babysitter to watch the kids because the other one called in sick, all to be able to be on the Polygon call, and then he just abandoned me with KP as usual, and then now with Llama Bro and Generate. You guys kind of have that whole like BD feel going, like together, like Generate and Llama Bro together, like pitching the Quest DAO thing. You sound a little bit like those Polygon guys. Like you guys might have a future doing that whole pitch deck deal.
You have no idea how active we are in DMs trying to find other projects and things. But if any of the things that we've been kind of hinting at behind the scenes come true, oh my God, next year is going to be wild for us.
So buy those Quest DAO token, seed rounds now. Okay.
Is that your plan? Like DAO, multi-sig, token, like how's it, like what's your kind of vision for where you're going to take everything? Because you've been killing it so far, but time to scale.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Generate.
It's really kind of coming together pretty organically. I don't think there's like a major push towards token or this or that, but I mean, I guess eventually that might make sense. But for right now, with what we've got going on, and also just using what we've done so far in terms of everything that's come through the Llama community as like a portfolio for leveraging other types of projects. We've talked about hitting the ground hard for grants. for different protocols, and just kind of seeing how we might be able to fit in there in terms of any kind of artistic ideas, or NFTs are pushing that. But it's just kind of coming together really organically. I don't think there's like a master plan with that, but there certainly needs to be a multi-sig. We've talked about that just because obviously, just like in the real world where a business starts off, we're going to have some funds coming in from the bounty for the polybots, and that's got to get divided up amongst people. And so all that's got to be, sort of transparent and, done the right way. And hopefully the framework just gets set up for much bigger things in the future. And I actually think, without trying to make money or have it become a huge thing, just making Llama Quest like the coolest thing that you've ever seen since sliced bread, I think has like tremendous potential. So just like a DeFi platform, you build it on one network and then port it to other networks. I think maybe we can do the same thing with Llama Quest, like in a super funky way. So those are like the grand vision plans to answer your question, Panda.
There is one thing I wanted to mention there, which is the DAO aspect. We really want to make this even more user collaborative. So we want people to get involved, not just on the like making art, but if you've been involved and you've made a number of these pixel llamas or you've made a lot of polybots, we want you to come in and start having a voice in the decisions of how we run this thing and about what we're going to do next. So this is really a project where you can come in, get some early experience, and then within a matter of a couple weeks to a month, be making kind of management level decisions, helping us figure out where to take this thing. And this is always an invitation. We always need more artists. Good news, no pen and paper. It's you do everything with Mid-Journey, and as you can see, some of the stuff that people have made are absolutely amazing.
Yeah, the rainbow ones are on fire as always, like in the ones you guys have been sharing on Twitter and leaking and just kind of teasing, like all the animated ones you've been doing. Those have turned out so cool.
I missed the beginning of the call. Did the Polygon guys give any kind of time frame for when their frontier will be pushed, or is it sort of loosey goosey?
No, that didn't even bring it up.
No, they did. They did. They said it's dependent upon their audits as well.
Oh, did they say that? Sorry, I missed it.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. So I know they've got like an in-house audit fund, and I guess whenever it gets like put forward in front of them, and then obviously how the infra is going to be used, because it's not just the art, it's the whole interoperability and what you can do with your 6551. So I guess it's like kind of a pending audit, I would imagine.
Is that pip? Are those pips being voted on, Panda?
I think at the beginning it's just like the classic Gov forum stage.
Which is go in front of a DAO council or something, or
yeah. And then from there, then I imagine there'll be a vote. I think Polygon is vast, right? Like they were talking about, what's it, like 350 employees and different chains and how the whole thing interacts together as one monolith. I'm not too sure of. Like I know, like their funding arm, ZK Ventures, is like a different governance model. They've got their classic governance model. So a whole lot of everything, right?
I tried to get them to tell me how to farm an airdrop, and they wouldn't tell me. I do remember that part. Like buy Matic tokens, like they're going away, right? They're like going to burn the Matic tokens, or you trade them for the POL tokens.
Because they know you're going to dump it.
They know I'm just going to dump it right on their heads. That's why you better put a long ass lock on me, KP, because I'm relentless.
Yeah, I hope KP is vesting your allocation.
he's making the mistake of doing it linearly, though.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. But my quest DAO allocation is going to be the reverse, the inverted cone. Yeah.
We'll probably do the quest route airdrop based on how many shares of Llama Bro you have. So I don't know. I mean, maybe take that into consideration.
Okay, fine. I won't sell it. I have it like keyed up on my phone to sell it right now.
The app's working. I mean, who knows?
No.
They disable the sell function by mistake.
Did you get a chance to generate? Did you read the pips yet? The 17, 18, and 19 on the Polygon thing? I can't believe it was just posted yesterday. Like, these are 24 hours old. Their whole rollout of the new vision of Polygon is only 24 hours old.
No, I have not had a chance to catch up with that yet. I feel like if you hold your breath for like more than 30 seconds, you miss like 12 years of warp speed in crypto space. But no, I have not done that. I was actually just going to share on the friend tech front. I don't know if any of you guys are on DBank, but A16Z, which is a pretty big name there too, they did something pretty cool last night, which is anybody who owned their key, they already created an airdrop on Polygon that last night everybody who owned their key got like to their wallet. Just
sorry, who was that? I missed. Who did that?
A16Z.
Okay, the investment.
Yeah, they're pretty they're pretty active on DBank. I think they have so many followers that anything they do basically just generates revenue. But in terms of friend tech, they're doing this test, and last night they dropped. They're only like 79 holders, but they dropped an NFT to everybody's friend tech address wallet. So it's not obviously the address that you sign up for at first. It's the interior friend tech wallet address. So you go to that address on Polygon and enter it into the scan, and you'll see that you got this NFT that they dropped. And that NFT each week will get entered into a raffle, which you can win, whatever, $1,000 here or a piece of jewelry or whatever else they want to shill. But anyway, it's a pretty cool concept because I hadn't seen it done before and it worked. So anyway, just want to share.
Because I was asking you in the DMs about the bank, and we tried to register on the multi-sig to start like posting shit there and to pay Cogsy and something else apart from rumors. But it didn't allow us.
That's weird. It didn't allow you, like it just rejected your attempt.
Cogsy, you can answer that.
I talked to DBank support, and they do not have an option for.
That's the problem. Is you were the one talking to DBank.
They don't have an option for Gnosis Safe to be able to log in to DBank, and like you only have to get logged in one time and add an email account to it, right? And then you can just always log in with an email from then. But I asked him to like manually update us, like to be able to take the Llamas Treasury wallet and be able to attach it to an email address, my email address, of course, because why not? And that's totally safe. And they instead of letting me do that, they said, no, since you're an organization and you have stuff like you have followers, you need to pay for the paid subscription and pay us to go post. So they're trying to sell us something, right?
Oh fuck. Okay, that's fucked up.
But that's an awesome test case with the airdrop thing for the friend tech connection on there.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the concept because you can take that to whole different levels, and you can also incentivize. You can make a game out of it, really, in terms of like longer term vision, or you got to get this key and this key and this key, and it all adds up to this or whatever. You can play a lot of different sort of games with that, but it's just cool to see people trying new things, and obviously there's a little cost to it and programming, but it's like they tried it and it worked, and I went and I checked. I checked the Polygon scan as well for it, and they did it in like for 79 drops. They had like 6 different batch mints occur, and I was just going to check to see if my address hit, and I had to go through a whole bunch of different ones. So it's not like straightforward on how it works, but they're just testing different ways, and it's just something to pay attention to because it's something we could certainly do with llama stuff or pixel llamas or really anything in the future.
Hey, one thing I wanted to mention, because we're talking about friend tech anyway, is did you guys see that friend tech has distributed more money to creators than all NFT collections added together have?
Wow.
I think it was something like $1.1 million was distributed last weekend, and the total amount of NFTs royalties that were paid to artists was something like $115,000 or something like that.
Right, because we know.
I mean, they did nuke royalties.
Yeah, royalties are going to zero, or they already are zero.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what
I
a
think-
way to draw people to your platform. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like the last place to get paid.
It does seem like a Ponzi scheme, though. Like, what happens when nobody wants to buy keys anymore?
I read that
Ye-
post that I think you share generate, and I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a zero-sum game concept, right? Like, there's only a certain amount of people that are ever going to want to buy keys, and there's never going to be any growth. And I don't think that that's the case. I mean, there's hardly anybody on it. Don't we have like 6 months of runway on this at least, or longer?
Yeah, I mean, it's just an interesting concept, but at the end of the day, when you strip out everything else, like if you're just say you're just trying to make a little bit of ETH, right? And you're going in and sniping in the first people who buy their own first keys and all that, and just playing the flip game. At the end of the day, your value is only going to increase if somebody else wants to buy that thing that you have, and it's not like there's any actual intrinsic value except for like bigger names, but all those are obviously too expensive already, so nobody with no money is going to buy them. And maybe people will start to fractionalize their keys. I don't know, but it just seems like it's a cool trend. I mean, I hope it doesn't like implode, but at the end of the day, it's kind of another Ponzi scheme.
Fractionalized keys is one thing. Did you guys also see Friend Book? The
No.
basically
God.
publishing all your like anything that's private in chats, they're publishing publicly. So I don't know. There's a lot of different ways.
Like a bot that auto pushes out what the big accounts are tipping.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like a window into the biggest names chat rooms, basically.
So you'd have to you'd have to encode or encrypt everything.
It's
And-
actually a derivative of Harrow's model because Harrow bought all the most expensive keys and reposted their content first. This is then taking that concept and botting it and making it available to people who own no keys. It's just public facing.
Wow. So that takes the entire purpose of it being there out.
Except I'm not seeing a huge sell-off. Even though people seem kind of worried about that, I don't see existential fear and panic. There's not a massive dump. I mean, the llamas have stayed crazy strong through all of this. It's like my best investment over the last couple months. So we'll see. I think there's a lot more room to grow.
Better than the real llamas.
Yeah, and as much as I think it's a Ponzi scheme, I think there's definitely a lot of room to grow still. I mean, it's a tiny thing. And if it catches any kind of mainstream fire, then it'll go, like apeshit. So we'll see.
All right, I gotta head to school, pick up a kid. I'm gonna turn off the recording. So if anybody has after recording alpha that they want to share, like Hoth did last week with the
I think
you know
I
what?
think I think Dina can share something before we turn it off. Like for the last 10 people that are here. Is Dina still
What
there?
can I share? Yeah, I'm here.
Maybe,
What can I share?
Well, we saw in the chat that you said soon.
Oh yeah, that we're relaunching the auction.
Okay, that was the alpha that we shared last week or 2 weeks ago after I turned off the recording. Was auction house.
I never got to the end of that because you didn't put it on 2x speed.
Oh, correct. Yeah, I didn't make it long enough. Okay, I forgot. Yeah, this will be a lot faster this time. So, Dina, you want to make it official then on the recording?
Yeah, we can do that. We are relaunching the auction. It's coming back. The spicy gifts are getting spicier.
So V2 auction house. Oh, that's my alarm. V2 auction house rollout soon. You're going to run the same kind of a system with the countdown and like the hype mechanism that kind of created. Even it was a bear market then, bear market now, and everybody seemed to like the countdown concept and all the cool stuff that you were doing. You were changing it around during the auction. I remember like the in between settlements, you were like pushing updates.
Yeah.
And that was still a funny time to remember, and it seems like it was so long ago. And it was only a couple months ago, but we're looking at opening it back up and starting another one of those. Now, are we going to talk about what that is going to be for, or can you hint? Is it something that we're doing? Is it something that we're being commissioned to do?
I don't know, Panda. Hoth, do you want to take over?
I
know too much. I might leak alpha.
I think
No.
I think we can say it's powered by llamas,
Mhm.
And what is the slogan? If anyone like can track it down. Yeah, like I don't want to laugh.
Nice.
Nice. If anyone gets
That'll
that.
work.
That will
That'll
work.
work. It's definitely not polybots because the bots are belong to the Polygon network and they're going to distribute them how they see fit. But Panda just gave you a little teaser. What
Mhm.
about what about your convention, Dina? With like all the crazy pictures you were posting on Twitter, and then the car race thing with like the speedometer, like you had it all fuzzed out so we couldn't see how fast you were going. Not that we can convert
Oh, I was
kilometers
hardly
out.
going fast. You can plant your foot on the ground for that car, and you cannot get it to go over 120. It's an inline-4 turbo diesel. It drives like
Okay,
a very, very boaty Honda.
so it
Yeah, that's
wasn't
inline. You
scary
can.
then.
No, no, God, no, no.
You were
But
in
it's
Poland, right?
huh? Yeah, still in
You were in
Poland.
Poland. So the next videos need to come from Germany.
Oh
Get on the
yes,
autobahn.
yes. But I might need a slower one. That's going to be dangerous. That's gonna be dangerous. Yeah, so East Warsaw ended eesh, last week. No, 2 weeks ago. God, I don't even remember what day then. Yeah, that was pretty much that. I wish I was in Berlin for Protocol Berg, but next one.
Did you meet anybody or did you shill effectively at all at the Warsaw one?
No, I couldn't chill. I couldn't chill. I feel like that vocabulary is like banned from
Oh,
myself. But
well, from you. I thought not like in
everyone.
general.
I was recognized as the llama girl because I did walk around the entire time for both the event and then the actual side events with llama ears. So I became llama girl. And then
Hey,
everyone asked,
that
"Oh,
works.
it does work. It does work." They asked if I'm with DeFi llama. I said, "No, I mean we use llama nodes, but no, I'm not." And then I have to pull up the OpenSea collection because it's either like lead them in with a pitch or show them the OpenSea collection. And they're like, "Wait, 1.5 floor ETH." 1.5 ETH floor. Like, what? Few people recognized it. That was really awesome. A few people, it turned out they actually already followed us. That was awesome. But yeah, I guess people know about the llamas now, at least in Warsaw.
We're official in Warsaw.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we are.
All right,
Apparently, our floor's been annihilated. Do we know what the level it's at now?
don't look.
Yeah, don't look at it.
We're rapidly approaching the price of a Roomba.
To,
Stop.
No.
to be fair, what is very cool though is the decentralization of llamas is growing exponentially. I think last time I looked, we were at like 530 holders, and obviously you've got the treasury on there as well, which kind of skews things. And now I need to actually look it up, but this could be quite good as well, like 20 new holders.
Yeah, especially when those bots peddle the ones that they mark up. And hopefully get those into the hands of new people. Like the guy that was on the call last week that was waiting for a break, that was that we hosted. And he said he was like, we got close to an ETH. He was able to afford it. I mean, so we could hopefully get some new people in here.
Yeah, we've got like 520. 520 now.
That's amazing. All right, guys, I'm gonna log out. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
You're free to keep talking if you'd like.
Bye, Cogsy.
Bye.
All right, y'all. Have an awesome weekend. It was good to see you all, and we'll see you online for the daily Llama Index updates and Llama updates. Peace.